Welcome to an Inside Sales Geek creation. You know that feeling, right? Sales leaders, you're trying to drive forward, make smart moves, but it feels like all you've got to look at is the rearview mirror.
Yeah, your past sales numbers.
Exactly. That's how so many sales organizations operate, sort of really stuck on what's already happened.
It's a really common scenario. We see a strong reliance on what we call descriptive analytics, pretty much across the board. Teams are very good at detailing what has occurred.
Like those monthly sales reports?
Exactly, the breakdowns by region, all that historical stuff.
Right. We can tell you down to the last widget how many we sold last quarter in, say, the Northeast. But while the core of this deep dive is understanding why just staring at that past performance isn't really enough anymore.
Not to win today, no.
We need to be looking ahead, and that's where, the power of predictive analytics comes into play.
And to really get a handle on this shift, we've been looking at some pretty compelling academic research. It really digs deep into why moving towards prediction isn't just a nice-to-have anymore.
It's essential.
It feels like a fundamental necessity for thriving sales organizations today.
Now, if that sounds a bit, academic or out of reach, don't worry. Our mission today is to make this crystal clear.
Yeah, give you real usable insights.
Exactly. You'll leave this conversation understanding the tangible business advantages of being able to anticipate what's likely or more likely to happen next in your sales efforts. We're going to try and break down some of these maybe more complex ideas into concepts that honestly would have been pretty straightforward back in 10th grade.
Precisely. The goal of this deep dive is to clearly articulate that transition, moving from just describing past sales to actively predicting future outcomes.
Right.
We'll explain how these predictive models function in practical terms, underscore their value for your sales teams, and hopefully give you some concrete, immediate steps you can take as a sales leader.
Okay, so let's jump right in. We've touched on it. Most sales teams are very familiar with looking back. Can you paint a bit more of a picture? What does descriptive analytics actually look like day to day, this reliance on looking backward? What's the reality?
Certainly. So in a practical sales context, descriptive analytics is, it's all about using your historical sales data, using it to understand and summarize past performance.
The standard reports.
Yeah, think about the regular reports you probably see all the time. Total revenue last quarter, average deal value in different customer segments, maybe the rate your customer base grew over the last year.
Okay.
Those are all prime examples of descriptive analytics. They give you a clear picture of what's already transpired.
Right, we get that snapshot of the past. But just knowing what happened doesn't really give us a roadmap for what's coming, does it?
Not really, no.
That's where predictive analytics steps in. So in the sales world, what exactly is predictive analytics all about?
Okay, so predictive analytics takes a forward-looking stance. Instead of just summarizing history, it uses quantitative methods.
Mm-hmm.
And this often involves, sophisticated tools, often machine learning algorithms.
Machine learning.
To uncover potential future outcomes that aren't immediately obvious. These algorithms are basically sophisticated pattern recognition tools. They can sift through huge amounts of your sales data, identify subtle relationships, indicators that maybe a human analyst might miss. And that allows for more accurate predictions.
Okay, so instead of just reporting our lead conversion rate was 10% last quarter, predictive analytics can actually tell us. What specifically? Give us some real-world examples. What can it estimate in sales?
Absolutely. Predictive analytics can forecast a whole range of critical future events. For instance, it can estimate the probability that a specific lead will convert into a paying customer.
Ah, okay. Individual lead level.
Yes. Or it can assess the likelihood of your existing customers being open to cross-selling or upselling. It helps identify who's most likely to buy more or maybe higher value products.
And churn. Can it help with that?
Oh, definitely. Crucially for customer retention, it can predict the probability of a customer deciding to leave, predicting churn.
Wow. Okay. That sounds incredibly powerful. So it's not just spotting trends, it's actually putting probabilities on specific future events for specific leads or customers.
Exactly.
This isn't just about, say, better conversion rates overall. It's understanding which lead profiles are becoming more or less promising. So you can refine your marketing, your lead gen strategies proactively. That feels like a real competitive edge.
Precisely. Predictive analytics moves beyond just describing past trends. It focuses on statistically estimating future observations. The core aim here is to equip your sales pros with insights they currently lack.
Insights they wouldn't get otherwise.
Right. Insights statistically derived from the data you actually already possess.
So what's the big payoff then? Why should sales leaders really prioritize this move, from just looking back to actually trying to predict what's next?
Well, the potential benefits are pretty substantial. By providing these predictive insights, you empower both your sales leadership and your individual salespeople.
Oh, so?
They can make significantly more informed decisions.
Yeah.
Deciding which customer relationships warrant more time and resources, figuring out what offers are most likely to resonate with specific prospects,
Ultimately.
and ultimately how to drive revenue growth more effectively, more efficiently.
It makes total sense. Sales really does feel like a prime candidate for this kind of digital transformation, especially given how widespread CRM systems are now.
Right.
But, most companies have CRMs, but the quality and consistency of the data in them, well, that can vary wildly, can't it? How critical is that data quality for predictive analytics to actually work? Because that data fuels the predictions, right?
That's a crucial point. You've hit on something really important there. The effectiveness of predictive analytics is heavily reliant on the quality and consistency of that underlying data.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Essentially, yes. Inconsistent or incomplete data can definitely introduce noise, reduce the accuracy of the predictions. So a foundational step, really, for any sales organization looking to leverage predictive analytics is making sure they have robust data management practices.
Like what?
Well, things like establishing clear data entry rules, regularly cleaning and validating the data, making sure all the relevant sales interactions and outcomes are accurately captured in the CRM. You mentioned market sensing.
Yeah, market sensing capability.
Right. Think of that as your sales team's ability to have their finger on the pulse of the market, to anticipate changes, identify emerging needs, spot opportunities before they become obvious. Predictive analytics acts like a powerful upgrade to that sense.
Okay, so if descriptive analytics is like constantly checking that rear view mirror, what's a better analogy for predictive? How does it help us, navigate the road ahead?
That's a good way to put it. Predictive analytics is maybe more like having a sophisticated GPS system for your sales efforts.
Okay, I like that.
It doesn't just tell you where you've been. It analyzes current conditions, potential future scenarios, and can even suggest the optimal route to where you want to go. Now, we could also get into prescriptive analytics.
Which tells you what to do.
Exactly. Recommend specific actions based on the predictions.
Yeah.
But for today, our focus is really on establishing that crucial predictive capability first, getting the prediction part right.
Got it. Okay, so we understand why we need to predict, and we know our data quality is paramount. But how do these predictive models actually work? It still feels a bit like, looking under the hood of a very complex machine.
It can seem that way, but the core concept is fairly straightforward. A predictive model uses the historical data you've collected.
All that stuff in the CRM.
Right. It uses that data to statistically estimate the likely value of specific variables, things you want to predict in new, unobserved situations. So situations or data points that weren't part of the original data the model was trained on.
Can you give us a really simple example, maybe outside of sales, just to make the concept click?
Sure. Think about weather forecasting. Meteorologists use historical weather patterns, temperature, humidity, wind speed, pressure, all that,
right,
to build models that predict future weather conditions. They analyze vast amounts of past data to identify relationships and patterns. That lets them estimate what the weather will be like tomorrow or next week. It's similar in principle to how predictive models work in sales.
Okay, that weather analogy helps. So bringing it back to sales, we're using all our past lead data, maybe demographics, engagement history, past deal outcomes.
All of it, yeah.
To predict which new leads are most likely to convert, even if we don't have all the answers about them yet. And I guess the more good data we feed the system, the smarter those predictions get.
Exactly right. And the increasing sophistication you see in these models often comes from using machine learning algorithms.
There's that term again.
Yeah. These algorithms can automatically learn from the data, identify increasingly complex patterns, and crucially, they continuously refine their predictions as they get exposed to more information. It's been a real evolution in analytics.
From just reporting the past.
Right, from that initial focus on description to this growing and, I'd say, critical emphasis on prediction. And that's driven by better data, more powerful tech, and just a greater understanding organizationally of how to actually leverage these tools.
So we're generating these predictions. What's the tangible business value? For our sales teams who are out there every day, how does this actually translate into them hitting, hopefully exceeding, their targets.
Okay, well, predictive analytics significantly strengthens what we talked about earlier, a sales organization's market sensing capability.
Right, their finger on the pulse.
Exactly. Their ability to anticipate changes, spot opportunities. Predictive analytics is like a supercharger for that sense.
Okay, market sensing capability. So how does predictive analytics practically enhance that for, say, our salespeople on the front lines?
Well, consider this. Predictive insights can help your salespeople focus their efforts. They can generate higher quality leads from the start by targeting prospects with the highest statistical likelihood of converting.
Makes sense.
It also empowers them to identify those crucial cross-selling and upselling opportunities within their existing customer base. It highlights customers who are most likely ready for additional offers.
Prioritization, too, I am.
Oh, absolutely. Perhaps most strategically, it lets them prioritize their customer interactions based on the predicted future value of each customer to the company, not just past value.
So less time potentially wasted on leads that are, statistically speaking, unlikely to go anywhere.
Precisely.
And more focused effort on the opportunities and customers that offer the greatest potential return. That sounds like a significant boost to efficiency as well.
It absolutely is. Predictive analytics drives efficiency by optimizing how salespeople allocate their most valuable resource, their time and energy. They can spend more time nurturing those high-potential relationships and less time on activities that are statistically less likely to pay off. Plus, by automating a lot of the underlying analysis,
It frees them up.
it frees up their time to concentrate on what they really excel at, building rapport, understanding customer needs, and, closing deals.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly promising. But let's be realistic. Introducing new tech, new ways of working that can sometimes face hurdles, right?
Definitely.
What are some of the potential challenges sales leaders should maybe anticipate when they're looking to implement predictive analytics in their organizations?
That's a very insightful question. And yes, the research does highlight that companies can face challenges.
Yeah.
One common one is actually getting buy-in and trust from the sales team itself.
Resistance.
Sometimes, yeah, some salespeople might be initially hesitant to rely on algorithmic recommendations. Maybe they feel it undermines their own intuition or experience.
The computer doesn't know my customer like I do.
It's exactly that kind of thing. Also, some team members might just need training and support to effectively use the new tools and, importantly, interpret the predictive insights correctly.
So demonstrating the benefits clearly and providing good training are key.
Very key to overcoming that potential resistance, yes.
So it's not just about deploying the tech, it's also about the people side, ensuring the team understands the value and is equipped to actually use it effectively. That makes perfect sense. So for the sales leaders listening who are thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but where do I even begin? What are some immediate actionable steps they can take to start moving their sales org from descriptive towards predictive?
Okay, yeah. I think there are 3 key actionable takeaways sales leaders can start thinking about, maybe implementing right away. The first one is to thoroughly assess your current data and technology infrastructure.
Know what you have.
Exactly. Take a really close look at the data you are already collecting. In your CRM, your marketing automation, other sales systems, understand what kind of descriptive reports you're generating now. And then identify those specific areas where having a clearer view of the future, like which deals are truly at risk of slipping or which customers are really primed for expansion, where would that knowledge have the biggest positive impact on your business outcomes?
Okay, so step 1, understand your current data landscape. Pinpoint where prediction would be most valuable. What's the second actionable step?
The second step is to investigate the built-in predictive capabilities of your existing sales technology stack. A lot of modern CRM platforms, and the research specifically mentions examples like Salesforce Einstein.
Right, I've heard of that.
They already incorporate predictive analytics features. So explore those functionalities. See how they can be leveraged with the data you already possess. Even using basic lead scoring based on your historical conversion patterns, that's a step towards predictive analysis. It gets you started.
So we might already have some of these tools, or at least basic versions, within the systems we're already paying for and using.
That's a great point. Okay, and the third immediate action. The third crucial step is to start small. Start with a focused pilot project, targeting a specific high-value use case. Don't try to boil the ocean,
Right, avoid the temptation to overhaul everything at once.
Exactly. Instead, identify one specific, well-defined business problem that predictive analytics could realistically address. Maybe it's improving the accuracy of your lead qualification process, Or perhaps reducing customer churn within one key segment.
Focus the effort.
Yes. By concentrating your initial efforts on building or utilizing a predictive model for that particular area, you can learn valuable lessons, you can demonstrate tangible results relatively quickly, and hopefully build momentum for broader adoption later on.
That makes perfect sense. Start small, show clear value, prove the concept, and then expand based on those initial successes. Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive, really clarifying that essential transition from just analyzing the past to harnessing predictive analytics to shape a more successful future.
Indeed. And I think by embracing this shift, sales organizations really can unlock significant advantages. It enables smarter decision-making, much more efficient allocation of resources, and ultimately achieving greater, more sustainable sales success.
And for you, the sales leaders who've joined us for this deep dive, as you begin to consider integrating these predictive insights into your strategies, just remember the ultimate aim isn't really to replace the valuable experience and intuition of your sales team. It can't do that.
No, it's about augmenting it.
Exactly. It's about empowering them with data-driven foresight, giving them a powerful new lens through which to understand and act upon opportunities. So maybe the question to leave you with is, what new possibilities does this understanding of predictive analytics open up for how you will guide your sales teams and drive growth moving forward?
That's a really important question to consider.
It is. Thanks for diving deep with us today.